I'm up here in the Trinity Alps wilderness on a backcountry bow hunt. I have tags for bear and deer. Um, just wanted to make a video about the equipment that I'm using. So we'll start with the bow. I have a Black Hunter recurve bow. These are the bows that they sell on Amazon for like $100. And even though it is like one of the cheapest bows you can find, I really like it. I like the way it shoots. I like how it feels in my hand. I really can't complain about it at all. The finish isn't as nice as you'd get with a custom bow. You can see it has a matte finish on it, but where I've been gripping it, you can see that that's kind of worn off and it's kind of shiny now, which, I mean, I could refinish it at some point. And I've got scratches on it already. I've got some scratches on the limbs I've seen where I've laid it down, which is why I don't want to spend a lot of money on a bow. If I spent $1,000 on a bow, I would feel bad about scratching it up. But with this, you know, it's a tool, so I use it as such. This is a 36-pound bow at my draw length, which I got a comment the other day in a different video that somebody said 36 is not enough to hunt with, and I kind of agree with that. 36 is not enough to hunt with if you shoot a 10 grain per pound arrow, which would be only 360 grains. My arrows are twice that. So these are XX75s, Game Getter from Easton, aluminum arrows. I've never really gotten into carbon. Maybe someday I'll try carbons, but I really like aluminums. They seem to shoot really well for me. This weighs just a little over 700 grains. I've got 250 grains on the broadhead, and then I have a 75 grain like adapter here. Well, I have an adapter. I have a 125 grain adapter glued onto my 125 grain broadhead. So 250, and then 75. This little. I don't even know what that's called. It just adds weight to the front of your arrow. So I have a lot of weight up front. I have about 20% front of center, I think, or almost 20%. So it's pretty heavy forward. I've got these to fly pretty good out of my bow. And so with a 700 grain arrow out of a 36-pound bow, you can imagine that it flies kind of slow. And people might think, well, it's not going to penetrate because it's flying so slow. I actually haven't. I've taken game with 650 or 630 grain arrows out of a 42-pound bow, and I've shot all the way through elk with it. So I think this is going to work pretty well. Time will tell, I guess. But I kind of compare it to, I've seen a lot of videos where people are taking a spear and dropping it out of a tree, and that weighs, I don't know, pounds. So they're not even throwing it, they're just dropping it, and just the weight of the spear going down, it's got to be going less than 100 feet per second. I mean, it's probably going 50 feet per second because they're just dropping it. And the weight of that spear sometimes will go all the way through a big animal. I've seen people on videos go all the way through bison, all the way through an eland or a kudu or something. So I think a slow, heavy arrow is actually pretty deadly. It's surprisingly deadly. You can get great penetration with it. I think better penetration a lot of times than really fast moving lightweight arrows flying out of a compound bow. So which is great because it allows me to protect my shoulders shooting a lightweight bow and still shoot traditional. So I always say it's not about how heavy your bow is, meaning bow weight. It's about how heavy your arrows are. I like to shoot Zwickeys. There's probably better broadheads out there, but these are, I like tradition, and that's about as traditional as you can get with a steel broadhead. Zwicky's been making that Eskimo head, I think, longer than any other broadhead that's on the market today. Fred Bear started hunting with these before he made his own broadheads. So I like them. They're double bevel, but I've gotten great penetration, and I've even gone through bone with those. So I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see the rest of my setup here. I've mentioned this on other videos, but I'm shooting with what I call a Nomar. It is an eye bolt that I've cut down. I put it on my middle finger, and then I just use a single finger stall on my glove. And the way it works is you clip it on underneath the arrow, and then when you release, it does a release like that. The reason why I'm using it is, well, it does get a fairly clean release for me, but the main reason why I'm using it is because it protects my shoulder. I found that if I have my arm like this, it tends to pinch my shoulder, impinge on my shoulder, and if I have my hand horizontal like this, it doesn't seem to do that as much. So figured out how to protect this shoulder better using this. I'm using a trad tracker, string tracker. Jury's still out on that. It's a little bit of a process to get it on the arrow, so it's not very good for stalking. Stand hunting it's good. So when I'm calling, I'm attaching it to my arrow, and then I have to do a whole bunch of stuff after I'm done with my calling set when I'm moving somewhere else. If I leave this out, there's been a couple times where I've left it on the arrow and it's caught on grass or something, and it pulls out so easy. There'll be a whole bunch of it trailing behind me if I'm not careful. Also, I have my quiver cam. I just mounted a GoPro onto my quiver. I don't want to have to mess with trying to mess with the camera. So hopefully, when I get a shot, I can just push the button and let it record. And it should get the shot on video. So I've seen people mount those to their head. I don't like the way it feels. It just kind of, when I'm taking a shot, I don't want that on my head. It just kind of messes with my mind for some reason. So that's my setup this year. Yeah, we'll hopefully get a chance to test it out on something this year. So far, haven't been able to, but there's still time. There's still a lot of the season left. But this right here, this is the end of an era.